Hi YouTubers, this video is entitled Why Men Are Silent or Have Silences, and then what women can do about them, those silences, what women can do to get a man to not be silent, what they can do to prompt him to have conversation. Now, before I start my list of 10 reasons why a man is often silent, I want to say a couple of things first. The first thing I want to say is men have as much desire to talk about things as women do. See, often you get self-help books and books about men, it's often written that men aren't as interested in talking about feelings or anything like that as much as women are. That's a lie. Okay, men are just as interested in talking and not being silent as women are. Men value the connection of words and of speaking, and they understand that silence stops that connection from necessarily taking place. Okay, so it's a lie to assume that men don't like talking and listening as much as women do. It's nothing to do with whether they like it as much, it's to do with the barriers that stop them from doing it that aren't necessarily there for women. Okay, women don't necessarily face the same barriers as men do when it comes to talking and listening. So here's my list of 10 things. Okay, the first reason why a man goes silent is because they believe current thoughts are too trivial at the time to communicate. So he's got some things going on inside of his head. There is current things that he's thinking about, but he thinks they're a bit silly, she doesn't want to hear about them. It's silly, it's just stupid, she's going to laugh at me, she's just going to think I'm an idiot for saying those things. So he doesn't have anything else on his mind, so those trivial things he doesn't communicate, so therefore the silence ensures. Okay, one of the ways you can get him to come out of that silence is to actually say, you know what, you can tell me whatever's on your mind. However silly it may seem to you, you can tell me that. And then he might say, well, this sounds really silly, but this is what I've been thinking about lately. And you might laugh, but it'll be okay, because you've already said that you're happy to hear about silly things from him. So if you laugh at him, he'll laugh too, and you'll both laugh about it and there won't be silence. The second reason is because they don't want to be intense. This is a biggie. When a man starts dating a woman, and start seeing her, as a potential suitor, right? He doesn't want to put her off by becoming intense about his feelings. He doesn't want to suddenly go boomf and offload himself onto the woman. So if he's got something in his mind about himself, something that's really valuable to him, he might not necessarily want to talk about it, not because he doesn't want to tell you, but because he doesn't want to scare you away by being intense. The way you can deal with that is you can say, well, how do you feel about this? How did you feel today? What went on today? How did you feel so and so went? What do you think about such and such? Ask him what he feels. If you ask him what he feels, you're telling him you want to know. If you don't ask him how he feels, he'll assume you don't want to know about that yet. So you need to ask him the correct kind of questions. Okay, the third reason why a man is silent. They don't want to go on about themselves. So if there's silence, they don't want to see that as a platform for them to natter about themselves, because we understand how much you hate a guy who just goes on and on about himself. So, when we're silent, we're sometimes allowing you to have the floor, to natter as you like to do, to really talk at us and talk about. And it might be that afterwards I might ask a question, or a man might ask a question about what you said. You see, the fact that you've talked has opened up the conversation, and it means a man can ask questions about what you've talked about. Okay, number 4, you don't show an interest in them. If you don't show an interest in a man will automatically assume you're not interested, and he will close his heart to you. Right? You need to show a man that you are interested in hearing about what he has to say. If you don't show that, then he isn't going to talk. Men will often show an interest in the women they like, but women that like the man will not necessarily always show an interest in him, because she feels frightened, she feels a bit tense. You've got to try and fight those feelings, because if you don't show an interest in the man you're interested in, he will think you're not interested, and he will not then communicate his heart or mind, and you will be left thinking, this man doesn't like me, men are crap at communication, men are not like women at communication, which is all a lie. Okay. Point number 5. The reason why men are silent is because they are physically tired. If I've had a long day at work, long and stressful, everybody's been in my face, I've been punched, I've been kicked, I've been spat at, I'm not going to come back and feel like talking to a woman. Now, it doesn't mean I shouldn't, okay, but I'm not going to feel like it. I want to, but I don't feel like it, okay. This is very important for a woman to understand, because when women are tired, it doesn't stop their ability to talk, okay, but it does hamper a man's ability to talk. So one of the ways you can do that is say, I understand you're tired, but I just want a bit of your time. I understand that you know things have happened and you've been absorbed and you might want to talk right now, but I really value your conversation right now. This will motivate the man to talk even though he's tired. Okay, very, very important. Okay, point number 6, the reason why a man becomes silent is because he's concentrating on an event. So you've gone to the cinema, you're watching a movie, you lean over to him and say some sort of small talk, but you don't get much of a response, so you think, oh, well, this is boring now. Because his eyes are fixed on the movie, he's watching the film. It's the same if he goes to a concert, he's concentrating on the music, the concert, the ambience, yeah? He isn't necessarily concentrating his attention on you. And you probably think to yourself, well, surely I must be more important than the event. But the man doesn't see it that way. The man sees, well, we've gone to a concert, we've got to the cinema, let's enjoy it by concentrating on what's actually going on. Because a man thinks to himself, well, if she just wants to talk to me, she might as well just suggested that and not bothered going to the cinema. You know, so a man will often be quite quiet through. He won't not communicate at all, but he'll be quite quiet through these type of events, and a woman may not understand why. The way you can deal with that is say, are you know, I can understand you being quiet, you want to concentrate on the event. And a man might say, yes, thank you for understanding that I'm concentrating on the movie or the sports event or whatever is going on. Now, during the interval or the breaks in these events, then, you know, there's no reason why he can't talk to you or open up at those times. Okay, point number 7, the reason why men stay silent is they have something big on their mind. So it's really absorbing them. There's this big problem at work, there's been a new launch of some sort of thing like infection control, and it's really taken his mind up and he can't think about things he wants to say. When something is on a man's mind, really on a man's mind, he finds it very difficult to talk to people about it. It's not because he doesn't want to open up about it, it's because when his thoughts are involved in a thing, he finds it very, very difficult to articulate his words and speak out what he's saying. The way you can do this is to distract him. So distract him from what is going on in his mind by saying, look, do you want to go out for an ice cream? Do you want to grab a smoothie? Or can I make you a drink, a cup of coffee? How do you take your coffee? Do you have 2 lumps or 1? You know, and then you've quickly got away his attention. Then you come in by saying, what's on your mind, John? Or what's on your mind, Derek? That's the way to do it, okay? So you divert their attention from their what's going on in their mind, and then you come in and ask them about it. That's the key, okay? That's the way to get over that silence. Okay, number 8. They are unsure of what they think or feel. This is a very big one, because if a man is not quite sure of his feelings, he doesn't want to tell the woman yet. Because if he tells the woman will think that's how he will feel, when actually that's how he feels at the time. But it's not necessarily how he will feel. So he doesn't want the woman to get the wrong idea or the wrong perception of him. It may be that he feels angry with a woman, but he knows in 20 minutes later he won't feel angry with her anymore. So, you know, he doesn't want her to feel, oh, he's angry with me, oh, I've done something terrible, oh, particularly in the early stage of a relationship, this is very important to understand. Right, men often don't talk about their feelings, not because they don't know what they are, but because they know that those feelings won't necessarily stay as they are. They will change. So a woman can show understanding with that and say, look, I understand how you feel now is not necessarily how you'll feel later, but I want to know how you feel now. And I promise I'll show the grace not to get all upset about that. Yeah, because a man needs to have confidence that a woman isn't just going to palm him off based on one thing he said. It's very important. Number 9, they don't want to give a false impression. So they don't want to give an impression of themselves as someone who's always chatty and always talking all the time. They want a woman to realise that they like silence sometimes, that they need that space. They want a woman to realise that, so they don't want to give the impression early on to a woman that they're interested in talking all the time and saying things. And that problem can only really be solved by a man. He needs to be very clear that sometimes he likes his own space. And, you know, you as a woman, when he says that, you need to respect that. Yeah? You need to respect that sometimes he wants his own space. Number 10, they really like you. So he's really interested in you. He's really head over heels for you. So that causes his own silence, because he really thinks about everything he's going to be saying to you, because he really likes you. He doesn't want to get it all wrong. He doesn't want to screw up. The only way you can deal with that is to show that you really like him too. Show an interest in him. Give him a platform to really open up. Yeah. So I hope this has helped women particularly to understand that men actually have a very, very vast amount of things to say. They want to talk about their emotions. They want to talk about what they're about. Okay. In a sense, a man is a little bit like a horse and a woman like the rider. When the horse is not any less than the rider, right? But when the woman gets on the horse, she pulls the reins to get the horse to go. She will, steer the horse in the right direction. In a way, that's how you've got to be with a man. You start the ignition. You pull the reins. You give that a little bit. If you give a little bit to a man, he will give you a lot back. That's how it works. Okay. But if you don't give your little bit, he will not give you anything. You know, that's how a man is when it comes to silence and communication. Thanks for watching.